Have you ever heard of a game called Pet Graveyard? Of course you haven't. Only a few have ever seen it. It was released for a new handheld game system called Nama Game System. It was released in Japan in 1985, and Pet Graveyard was released in 1987. It was originally Pet Cemetery when translated into English from Japanese. So anyways, the NGS, Nama Game System, wasn't released in the US until 1987, the same day Pet Graveyard was released. The NGS was outlawed the next day. Whatever the reason, it had to have been because of Pet Graveyard. They said the device itself was magnificent, but the game was just too much. You had to be a lucky bastard to own one. Probably only 100 exist, and maybe 50 or more copies of Pet Graveyard. I know this because I did my own research. I have been fascinated by the NGS. I have never owned one nor wanted one until now. I don't know why, it just kind of came to me one day. I have scavenged around garage sales and other game shops for it. No luck. There really isn't a market for them. I looked on eBay and Amazon, nothing. I looked at my local pawn shops, nothing. Then I remembered. Like an aha moment. My friend had one, and he rubbed it in my face, though he never got to play it. It was on a night when I slept over, and he decided to play it in the morning. But he was too scared to play it that morning when he found out what could happen if he was caught. We were only like 7, and both of us were pretty paranoid. Anyways, I went to go ask my friend for it. He told me he might have it in his attic. We went up there and pulled out an old withered box with the word games written on it in some kind of marker. He pulled out a Chutes and Ladders game and some checkerboards. And then he pulled out a bubble wrap system with an unopened game case to Pet Graveyard. Take it. I never plan on using it, he told me. And I thanked him for it and went on my way. I drove home and popped some of the bubble wrap that held the game. This preoccupied me, and then I realized the matter at hand. I opened it up. It was a box that contained a red Game Boy-like system and a red charger, nothing else. I thought this was odd that there was no warnings or instruction guide. I guess they didn't translate well, but still. So I turned on the fully charged system, and NGS in big letters appeared along, with "Please insert game cartridge." I unwrapped the game. It was nothing but a black case with the words Pet Graveyard written on them. Okay then. I didn't mind it. I opened it. It was a small, squared, blank cartridge. It was a greenish-yellow color. I slid it into the slot in the back, and the game loaded up. A screen popped up. It had the words Pet Graveyard on it, and some disclaimers and stuff like that. I hit the start button, not literally, but whatever. And the game loaded up. You were a man in a Pokemon-like world. Your character seemed happy. The main objective was to bury dead pets and cremate some. It was a disturbing concept, but I rolled with it. There are missions that you do, each one more difficult than the last. It was normal for the first 13 missions, and then the weird things started happening. People were paying you to bury disturbing things like body bags, limbs, and counterfeit goods. The character starts to seem more and more depressed. On mission 21, you're approached by a man who gives you pills. He asks you to take them, and then your character starts to seem happy. This made me feel happy. I drew a huge smile on my face, as did the character. He buried bodies and other illegal drugs and such, and grew happier. As did I. He walked into a room and took out a knife and looked at the screen for a good minute. His smile grew wider the longer he stared at me, as did mine. He took the knife and drove it deep into his heart slowly, as blood came gushing out. He fell to the ground, and a dark crimson pool of blood starts to form around him. The man is seen in a light brown hue standing in the corner. His facial expressions became more menacing every second. I couldn't help but smile back. His eyes became dark red and bloodshot. Then the game went back to the title screen. I burst out laughing. Wow, this game was amazing. I can't imagine why they would outlaw such a fun game. You know, it sounds like fun right now. Knives. Just the word makes me laugh. So does heart. Heart knives. Maybe if I put one in mine, this moment will be with me forever.